Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of BGT Special Game Time podcast with the Indian Express. We thought this was going to be a normal recording where we speak just quickly about how the inevitable draw happened in Brisbane. There was some exciting action during the day, Australia trying to declare, losing a bunch of wickets, India being set a target and asked to bat again and whole lot. Not many overs, but there was sufficient action, so we didn't expect this to be a very serious, long-drawn podcast. But towards the end, there were visuals of Virat Kohli and Ashwin wearing his yellow trainer jersey, sharing a hug as we were waiting for play to start. And the moment we saw that, we figured there was something afoot. And sure enough, a couple of hours later, here we are as Ashwin Ravichandran, one of India's greatest match winners in Test cricket, has announced his retirement from all formats of cricket immediately. He said, and quote, "Today was his last day as an international cricketer." And he said this in the press conference as he attended it with Rohit Sharma. Gave a quick speech, about 90 seconds, 100 seconds, thanked a few people and said he was not going to take questions today and left. And later Rohit Sharma confirmed that Ashwin is actually going to fly back home tomorrow, which is Thursday. And that's that. End of one of greatest careers in Indian Test cricket history. His place in the greatest Indian 11 could be debated and all that, but without doubt, as Venkata Krishna, who is joining us, would say the greatest cricketer that Tamil Nadu has ever produced. Venkat, quite something, huh?
Yeah, definitely, Vinayakk. It was quite something. I mean, we didn't expect it, did we? Because let's be honest, we were expecting few retirement calls at the end of the series. But whether Ashwin was top of the list, no, I don't think so at all. Because I still personally believe that he had good couple of years of Test cricket left in him, especially the way he started the Test season against Bangladesh. But after that, something changed, isn't it? Like New Zealand series, he had a rare off series. And then Adelaide, again, the conditions were as good as anything that a seamer could find. And if you look at it, I don't know, it's just 4 test matches where he hasn't had results. And then he decides okay, let's call it a day. And it was just surprising because especially when test matches coming up at Melbourne and Sydney, where the conditions could definitely bring him back into contention for a spot in the 11. So that way I was a little surprised with the decision. But again, I think he saw it coming as well, Ashwin, because you have Ravindra Jadeja had a good test match here at Brisbane, and then you have Washington Sundar, who India feel okay, he's going to be the spinner that they're going to prefer moving forward. So it's a combination of factors as well. But the timing, yes, it's very much surprised because Ashwin isn't a quitter. He fights till the last ball is delivered, right? So, yeah, that wise it was quite surprising, to be honest. I don't know what to say, you mentioned about Ashwin being one of the greatest Indian players ever, and then definitely the greatest ever Tamil Nadu has produced. So, all of it, whether he gets into the India's all-time great 11 or not, it's all for a different day. But, when Anil Kumble retired, all of us wondered whether India will get as good a match winner ever. And 4 years later, in Ashwin, India found one actually, and who was since then has been one of the India's biggest match winner, who has won record man of the series titles. So I think he's ending on a high note. Also, just sending a reminder to the dressing room, listen, I have done my part. Then there is few more for you to take a few of you can even think about it right now.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me most was the timing, obviously, like most people have said. So what I found interesting from the press conference was Rohit Sharma saying that the day he landed in Perth, or maybe around that time, is when he found out from Ashwin that he was thinking about this. So obviously, a little bit of context here. Rohit was not the captain in the first test. The team management decided that Washington Sundar would be playing in the first test, despite, I think there were a couple of reports that Ashwin could play in Perth, but then it turned out to be Washington Sundar who got the nod. So obviously Ashwin must have felt something at that point. And you just reported that he already had certain thoughts in his mind before he left for Australia that this might be his last series. And then I'm guessing Perth might have been the push. And he did get selected in Adelaide. And Rohit also said that he had to convince Ashwin to play Adelaide, which I'm guessing the team management wanted his pink ball skills. He had done well in pink ball test last time around when India had toured. So that probably delayed it. And once he was not picked in Brisbane and Jadeja did well, I'm guessing that's probably when he decided. So this is all a little bit of speculation, but Rohit did give a lot of background about it. So we know that much has happened. So the bigger surprise is him leaving the squad right away and coming back home, because if he's decided that it's his last day, then it doesn't make sense to just hang around. So that is probably something that we discuss later down the line on like where this leaves India's squad. Probably not much changes. Maybe just Sydney could have been a possible option for Ashwin to play. Just a little bit on how you see Ashwin's retirement has panned out. Surprise in one sense, but he seems to have had this thought for a while.
Definitely, Vinayakk. See, like as in earlier interview with the Indian Express, he had mentioned like as far back as like the last Border-Gavaskar trophy that was played at home, Ashwin was thinking of retirement. He was like his knee was giving him trouble, and then he had to like slightly modify his action just to like get through the series. So he has been trying to reinvent, trying to like make most out of his days as a playing cricketer. So he was trying everything, but the thing is like every now and then he used to go head to the NCA just to take injection in his knee so that it's like it doesn't bother him when he's playing test match, because that's all he had. Like less like he plays the IPL, he's not in the white ball formats of India anymore. So even to play the test matches, it wasn't easy at all. He wasn't getting anger by the day, and then he had as. I mean, look, everybody talk about this, but he hasn't missed a test match that frequently. I mean, I don't recall him missing test match series because of an injury. So it just speaks volumes of his fitness as well, how much dedicated he was. But again, his knee has always been giving him trouble. Even before leaving for Australia, he informed his family, listen, I think this series is going to be the last. I mean, the reason was pretty simple, right? India now play this test series in Australia and then they don't have anything till the English summer in June, July. So which means there is a 6-7 month break where he's just got the IPL to play and there is nothing else. And then in England, there is a strong chance that where he is not going to be a sure starter in the 11 because as you know, last time he told he missed every single time. So, and with Washi around, again, it makes for a different scenario altogether. So, all these things would have like weighed in his mind and he would have thought, okay, like why am I sitting here and warming the bench? Let me at least like go home, get ready and play. Hopefully, I still believe he could play the couple of the last two Ranji matches for Tamil Nadu because winning the Ranji Trophy has been one of his dreams. So I still believe that he would like don the whites, Tamil Nadu whites and play a couple of Ranji fixtures. And if Tamil Nadu makes it to the knockouts, we could see him go all the way. So yeah, I still think like, few years cricket left in him. I mean, what about he could even just go and play a few county games there as well because he said he's going to continue playing club cricket. So it shouldn't, it would be really good even if he comes and just plays the Chennai first division matches here. It will still be quite funny. And it will be totally Ashwin. He won't have the air of, listen, I'm an international cricketer. Why should I be playing this? No. He isn't going to have that thing. Or we might even see him play gully cricket at Ramakrishnappuram 3rd Street in West Marmala.
No, so when he said, I still have punch left in me to play club cricket, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Even before you mentioned Ranji and all that, I was thinking club cricket in Chennai, and Chennai's club cricket scene is, quite iconic from all that we know. He is very fond of his local roots. So it wouldn't be surprising at all. But if he does go the Ranji Trophy route, I hope it's the fairy tale endings don't really happen in elite sport. Sachin Tendulkar was probably an exception. Across sport, you don't really get that. So Ashwin doesn't get a fairy tale ending in Test cricket, but not many do. So, but he still has cricket left in him. Maybe IPL, CSK, that could be a fairy tale too. Or like you said, Ranji Trophy and Tamil Nadu, that would be even more special. So that's all speculation. But with Ashwin, you never know what the next step is. Like we never knew this was coming today. So that in itself is a surprise. And we are sure that Ashwin is going to not stop surprising us in the days and months to come. So just a quick thought on the day's cricket itself before we discuss Ashwin further. The draw was pretty much inevitable, but Australia chose to bat again very quickly, some aggressive shots. Matthew Hayden actually in the Star Sports show didn't think this was intentional, that they're not losing wickets because they were going to score this quick. That was an interesting session. But they did declare within 20 overs and gave India a target, but it never really looked like a result was on the cards. And India just played out a couple of overs and that was it. So we head into Melbourne 1-1 and we head into Melbourne without Ashwin playing for India. So let's, for the rest of the podcast, we'll obviously focus on Ashwin. Venkat, so just something that you mentioned when he spoke to us for the idea exchange, and it is really worth reading it. You can just check it out on the website, Indian Express Idea Exchange with Ashwin that we did earlier this year. The one thing that I really found interesting was, when he said, I would not want my daughters, my children to be bowlers. I would any day suggest they take up batting because in India, bowlers are not respected. Do you think that probably his legacy would be changing that more people take up bowling?
Definitely. See, the thing is, like, I don't know, I would really like to see another off spinner come up in Ashwin's mold, because you see Washington is around, but Washington isn't the Ashwin mold. He's like a lot more like quite essential, like a modern T20 bowler off spinner. Ashwin, on the other hand, is classical old school, who was prepared to give flight, who was prepared to hit the top of off stump. And I was just watching some of the dismissals of Ashwin, and then there's like this nice sound when the ball hits the stumps, right? Like, I mean, beating the right-hander outside edge and then getting the ball to sneak in. So just like these things, this is what will, like, I don't know whether we will able to see in the future from any off spinner doing it. Because if you look at the domestic circuit, there aren't many like him who's operating. So yes, but I definitely think the Ashwin would have definitely inspired at least a couple of guys to become good test cricketers. I think that is what I'm prepared to see. I'm waiting to see actually whether there is somebody in this mold who can come and then work patiently for the wickets. Because there is like a lot of been like right through his career, there's been like a lot of talk about like him being bowling in favored conditions, but even otherwise he is an exceptional bowler. He has been an exceptional artist of spin bowling, if I may say, because I mean, if you don't have the skill, I don't think you can do any sort of pitch. So that takes a lot of credit away from somebody like Ashwin, because it was not his fault that he played an era where DRS was part of the system. So,
and just to add to that, he kept evolving, right? And when pitches are only one part of the equation, he found solutions. He kept changing. Experimenting is probably not a word that he would like, but he kept trying to find answers to his own success, right? Trying to find ways.
Sorry to cut off you. Like, let's not forget, like, you just think about Ashwin's the number of actions, number of evolution in his bowling action. That is different. That is like from each year, I'm just looking at it. There is a massive change from the time he first started. Then 2012, there is a different action. 13, there is a different action. 15, a completely different action. 18, again, different action. And now it is totally different. So I don't know how this continuous evolvement as a off spinner, that's what stands out to me, to be honest. Because it's not an easy at all, Vinayakk. I mean, you mentioned the word experiment. I think it was, in a way, I also feel it is an experiment of sorts, but not in a wrong way. Because he was doing it to find out what is working and what is not working. And to do that at the highest level and still succeed, it takes something to do that, I believe.
Yeah, and another wonderful line that he mentioned in the idea exchange that I spoke about earlier, when he was asked about, how he plans for various batters, he's come across as this guy who plans a certain thing against Sangakkara, plans a certain thing against Steve Smith, and these things come out quite successfully more often than not. And his answer was he found bowling to be a very conscious act because, you delivering the action, you are initiating a reaction from the batter. As a bowler, you're causing the reaction from the batter and you're the one causing the action. And for that to work out, you have to constantly make the batter uncomfortable at the crease. Make them think, okay, so I'm not in my comfort zone. How do I put the batter out of the comfort zone? That is something that he learned as he went on in his career. And, that's something that he was very successful at, especially the Steve Smith ploy that he brought about in the Border-Gavaskar trophy the last time around. Things like that, and the Sangakkara farewell match we all remember. So, yeah, if we speak about Ashwin's craft, you're going to be here for a long, long time. We also have to keep our time limit in mind. Quickly, Venkat, your favorite Ashwin memory?
My favorite Ashwin memory. There are like lots, man. I feel like for me, the 2016-17 home season, I think that was probably, for me, it felt like the high point of Ashwin. I know he still had like a great series thereafter as well, but that 16-17 season where he won the ICC Cricketer of the Year. I used to wake up and just sit and watch his bowling all day. That was like terrific, actually, to be honest. Because the way the ball was coming out of his hand and how he was delivering everything, it just like seemed all natural. So that's what I would definitely, that's the best memory of Ashwin for me, actually, to be honest. There was nothing else.
Yeah, and just to add, that Bengaluru test, unbelievable, unforgettable test match that was against Australia. I think chasing 190 odd, Australia were 42 for 1, and then Ashwin started running through the batting order of, Warner and Marsh and all those guys. Brilliant match that was.
Nathan Lyon's wicket and throwing the ball up. The last wicket.
Yeah, that image is quite iconic. Yeah, so fitting that we are talking about Ashwin's farewell and one of his best moments being from the India-Australia series. And of course, on the other side, the Sydney draw last time around, that was pretty iconic as well for me. So yeah, maybe we could get together and do a bigger Ashwin podcast sometime soon because there is so much to talk. We have other people in our team as well who would love to contribute. So let's see how that works out. For now, a big announcement from GABA that is kind of dominated all the headlines post that inevitable draw. Before we sign off, thankfully we have Sriram Veera managing to get some time off his math scramble, I'm sure, to send us a quick note on how it was to listen to that press conference and more. It's not that many saw this coming. So that would be quite interesting. So Sriram Veera from Brisbane, and we'd eventually, maybe before the next test, get to sit him down for a big chat on what's been going on in Australia. So for now, thanks a lot for joining us. This is the BGT Special episode, which became an Ashwin Special episode, and hope to see you soon.
Hello listeners, what a day of intrigue and a bit of sadness too with our Ashwin's retirement. As many of you would have heard sometime in the morning, what was happening in the middle had receded, and this buzz, which was on social media as well, like who is retiring. There were a couple of news put out, speculation stuff was going on. Could it be this guy? Could it be that guy? And then landed a video of Virat Kohli, an emotional hugging, an emotional Ashwin. Both of them looked pretty emotional. Ashwin was almost seen wiping his tears or wiping his eyes. So from that point, it was clear that it was going to be an Ashwin. But still, as the day progressed, as the afternoon progressed, the game was called off. Then we just waiting near the press media conference room. It's slightly away from where we sit and cover, and you have to take a right, a long corridor, and then come in. That was when it became clear, because Ashwin was following Rohit Sharma, and Rohit would not shout out, he would say, "Sab pata chalega, sab milega abhi." And as he said, and he looked behind, then it was Ashwin who had come down behind him. So, all of you must have seen the press conference, how, he tried to be witty and stuff. So and what he said, so I won't be reiterating what he said that the world would have seen. It just also left feeling 2 test matches to still go, especially with one of them being Sydney, where the conditions in the past have even allowed 2 spinners, but definitely allows one good, your best spinner to play. It was a bit of a decision that because there's been no injury that we know of, he's announced that he's going back to India tomorrow. So if the best spinner of the country had to play, who's in the squad, it would be Ashwin, because all the 3 of them have had a go at different venues, and so far Ashwin has proven to be the best spinner. Do you still need, could he have waited, even if he's not finally picked for Sydney is another thing, but he's made his decision, and as Rohit Sharma said, it was his decision. I think they tried to convince him, otherwise they couldn't. And Rohit said that we had to respect his decision. He's been such a match winner for so many years, and all that is true, and he's absolutely spot on with that. There's after Anil Kumble, who Ashwin called the greatest match winner India was to Indian Express a few months back. It's been Ashwin who's won matches, but probably the last Australia tour, you would remember how we took out Steve Smith repeatedly, and how we troubled Manas Labuschagne also. With all that, it's sometimes somehow apt that he's finally called it off in Australia. I remember seeing him in one of his first tours overseas, which was here in Australia in 2011-12. Very, very eager, into kid he was, even that time, and someone with immense self-confidence. I remember we had a chat which I used later after taking permission from him, which was years later, that is. It was his first tour, and he was bowling. He was an off-spinner primarily, but he was one of those days he would say, "Hey, if they give a chance for me to promote the order, I would really love it. I really enjoy this bounce ball coming on here." So I turned around and told him, "Ashwin, you're here for it's a bowler, no off-spinner, not do that." "Oh, I'll do that also, but you watch one day." And then, years passed, and he's been scoring hundreds, some of them valuable match-turning ones. And I suddenly remembered that, and I asked him if, I'm going to use that bit, like even in the first tour when I didn't think better, you knew who you were, what can you be, what you can end up achieving, and he laughed. And I think he's done that. One of the great match winners, and he started in Australia here in 2011-12 to the world, outside world, that is, and he sort of finished it here. So perhaps the circle is complete. Once suddenly when he's gone, it just hits that there are lots of people whose There are a few people on in both teams whose retirements might not be too far away. Even Nathan Lyon is not getting younger. I wonder whether he could try to push himself to the next Ashes, but that's next year. And Usman Khawaja is also getting on a bit, although he has spoken about his wish to play in Ashes. Then there are the Indian and Australian fast bowlers as well. So anyway, that's all it from Brisbane. We move on, and there's still a gap for Melbourne. We'll hear more about that later on.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.